there, Toby. Hope you're having a great day today as your video lesson. Let's hear two things I want to talk about. I'll talk about those two things. And as usual, if you have questions at the end of this or want me to look at anything, feel free to shoot a message on over and I'll do my best to answer. So let's get to it. So thanks for sending those two videos over. Super helpful for me to see how things are coming along. Quite nice, actually. First off, I'll start with the second video you sent, the Brain Damage, Pink Floyd. Much better. You're doing a great job of transitioning between. It's not easy. That's what makes this one like a challenge song, is switching from the picking part into the strumming part and not dropping the overall pulse of the music. That's much better, much better. So keep on practicing your music. And I'll talk a bit more in a second about subdivisions and overall rhythmic things that you can practice, rhythmic exercises you can practice. But it's looking a lot better. Like bar chords, once you get those down, and you're good. But it's just like that's the ultimate test, man. Like his open chords, they're challenging. None of this is easy. Not lost on me how difficult this is. I've been living it for a long time. But just bar chords are looking a lot smoother. You're getting in and out of that pick pattern. Remember that it's just keep on chipping away at it. As remember, I think an interview with Jason Isbell I was telling you about, where he's like, dude, just keep at them, man. You'll get them. You'll get them. Everyone does who keeps at them. It's the people who don't keep at them. That's the ones that don't get it. But anyway, we'll preach more later. So like I said, looking really great, that transition in there, keeping time. And at the end of the chorus, that was looking really good too. You kept time through. As far as clarity and stuff like that, yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll get those chords cleaned up. But as far as timing, the timing is there. So that's good. And you're able to keep up with the recording very well. So you got that going for you. So very good job on that. It's a great riff. Sometimes the funny thing when we play these things is that you work so hard on them. When you get them, you're like, okay, I'm good for a while. So remember that one. You'll keep it in your back pocket. You don't have to relearn how to do that one again. When you go back to recording tunes that you learned a long time ago, you go, oh, it takes you a couple of tries or a couple of days, and you're back where you were. Anyway. And then with the lead part for Undone, the Sweater song, same thing, very nice. You're able to keep up with the changes with the recording, which is no small feat. Just one thing to watch out for, maybe this kind of goes to the bar chord changes too, is making sure that your thumb comes along for the ride when you're changing through shapes. If I were doing, say, making sure that like when you do something like this, that you're not doing like a spread of the fingers. I would actually even spend time making sure everything is coming along for the ride, so like no fingers are dragging or the spacing is looking good. What I would even recommend doing, and I've done this a lot of times, actually it was in school, right? They would have full-length mirrors in the studios, and it wasn't to admire our ego or to say how awesome we are, or to watch like a mirror of yourself playing. Or full-length mirror, watch yourself in the mirror. It was to check your positioning, because sometimes seeing things from here is different than seeing them from the other side of the room, which is part of what I do, is I help people see things from a different vantage point, metaphorically and in reality, that they might otherwise not be seeing, myself included. That's what I pay my teachers for, right? Pay them good money to rag on me, and I am a better person for it. Although sometimes you get defeated. We'll talk about that later too. So I would actually even practice, like turn on your iPad and just like watch your hand. Does it look right? Because now you've been doing this long enough, you can kind of look like, hey, that looks better when everything is moving uniform together. So maybe one exercise you can do even with Brain Damage with the bar chords is like, can you get from this chord and does it look right? Right? And then for the Sweater song, everybody moves together. And this is done slow, so this is not done fast necessarily. There are plenty of times, especially when I come back from vacation later on today, I have a piece I'm working on. I'm literally just gonna like watch the chords move from one to the next and just like listen to them. Because that's part of the beauty of music too, is like, it's clashy. It's angsty teen music. Dad told me to go to my room and like took my music away kind of stuff, or oh, you gotta go take out the trash, I don't want to, right? Just listen to the chords. Right, like that. So practicing making sure that your fingers are all kind of moving together and not doing that kind of business where everything kind of like doesn't move as one, I guess you could say. So think about that when doing the picking part for Sweater Song, Undone. And as far as things I've thought about for Undone is the solo section, but we're gonna talk about the rhythm guitar first. There's a key change in here in the song. I'm in standard tuning, by the way. She's a pretty baby and she stays in standard, and she's treated as such. So that's all straightforward, right? But if you listen to the solo section, there's a key change. It's like all of a sudden it takes like a left turn to like, so we've come here. It's like out of left field, you have like this key change. Right? So he goes into the he goes to the key of B flat there. From G, which is it's about as far away, it's pretty far away from where he started from. So anyway, so with this one, the trick is when he starts the solo section, it kind of like is like an about face with the rhythm as well, because before, up until this point, we've been doing this. Down, down, oh, sorry. Down, 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 up, down, down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. And then what happens out of the blue, he does. I think of the tab I have over there. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and what was it? Yeah. So he does a quick we're called 16th notes. So these are subdivisions. You can think that you have quarter notes, right, which is just basically the pulse of music. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can divide that into smaller 2-to-1 ratio, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and a. That's the next layer down in the onion, I guess, of rhythm. If you look in the Roxy, I think you might have picked up the Rock Seekers books. It was Rock Seeker book at one point. There's a thing in there you can find. It's called the Rhythm Pyramid. If you don't have it, send me a message. I'll send you over a handout that has it. But what he's doing, he has quarter notes 1, 2. So if I put a metronome on. There you are, and I set it to something. I'm going to set this to, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to set it to like 72. 72 is a good. Bum 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 bum. Actually, I don't remember what the song is without listening to it again. And so what I'm going to practice is practicing going through the different subdivisions where I'm doing 2-to-1 ratios, or 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. I was a math major, so you do better than I do. 1, 2, 3, 4. While I'm doing that, I'm tapping my foot to the metronome. It kind of helps me really feel the rhythm, right? You use this stuff you can do in the car. You can be like on some boring call for work or sitting at your desk. You can have a metronome going and just like, I mean, actually, the way I would used to practice this is I would be driving my car and like with my I don't have a clutch, right? I just drive automatic. Like the foot over here would tap like a pulse. And then over here on the steering wheel, I would tap just different subdivisions, and then I click the turn signal on, and I could see if I could like have like 3 things happening at the same time. And the more you can practice just clapping rhythms, because my rhythm was awful when I first started doing music. It was actually pretty horrendous. So much so that the local guitar teacher at the mall where I took lessons from my first teacher, whose job usually it is just like, hey, you're just coming here to have fun. He was like, dude, your rhythm, man, you need some help. And then I got to school and they're like, dude, you need a lot of help. You need a lot of help. And I spent a lot of time working on this. So this is stuff that I would do when I was first starting out all this stuff. So what you're gonna do is set your metronome to 72, clap quarter notes, eighth notes, 2 and 3 and 4, and then 16th notes. The way you count them is 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E. And if you look it up online, there's a lot of different ways of counting just in general. Like there's the system I'm looking at right now called Takadimi. So I'm thinking about switching to that one for some people. 1E and a 2E and tiri in school. You might see what I'm doing like ta, ti, ta, ti, ti, ta, tiri, 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 tiri. Those are all different ways of teaching people how to do syllabic counting with complex rhythmic patterns. And then you have also the fruit handout that I gave you that has like straw. What was the one for that? Avocado. So all those ones you can count. Avocado, 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 hot dog, hot dog, hot dog, hot dog, right? Those are things that you can help you with this. And you want to practice clapping it first to make sure you can do the rhythm correctly. And then once you can clap it correctly, for this song, what he does at the beginning of the solo, so after you practiced counting it and feeling it, then you take it to your guitar and just on the B flat 5, I'm here at the 6th fret, root 6, and I'm just going to practice just doing 16th notes. And it's going to sound like this. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a avocado, avocado. But you got to say avocado like a musician. Avocado, avocado, avocado. Give me avocado, not like that, but avocado. Notice my pick too. This is also another important thing that I've discovered over the years is that how far you go determines how far you have to come back. And if you go too far with your strum, it's gonna be really hard. You can pull it off in quarter notes and even eighth notes, but when you start getting into 16th notes and the fast stuff, like the punk rock stuff and the pop punk, if you're going too far with your strum, you're not gonna have enough time to recoil. Or even metal, like if you look at Metallica, if you look at Metallica, when they're playing, they are doing they're like right there on top. They're not shooting through. The mute is just there as an insurance policy to stop any sort of sympathetic vibration from your strings. Notice I get just a little bit of motion right here. I'm not going far at all. If you're shooting too far, it's gonna sound like that and it's not gonna be right. So you make sure your pick, you're what's called dividing the strings. You're trying just to stay on these bass strings right here. Later on we get more advanced strumming patterns. Like say like when you listen to say like Billy Strings when he plays rhythm guitar, he's not playing all 6 strings what I call hacking style, where he's hacking at the strings, he's dividing the strings. But anyway, so in this situation, he's dividing the string, so you're playing just on these bass strings, you're not trying to hit these at all. This is just your insurance policy in case you get something vibrating or you happen to go a little bit too far on one of them. Otherwise it's like this. And in this situation, that is not what it sounds like. So, we have 16th notes on the B flat 5, the first round. 1 and a 2 and a, and then the E flat. E flat, all down strokes. Now, I've looked at the tab and I was trying to find some sort of pattern in there with the 16th notes. They do them in different spots, and damn if I can figure out if there is an overall pattern, or probably what I was thinking about it, probably most likely what happened is that they're all probably in the control, or they're all in like the rehearsal space at the studio, and they're jamming and they got mics and all, and they're playing, and they're just playing as one, and they played so long together and done this for so long that it's almost like they're literally finishing each other's sentences musically. they can tell the drummer's been playing with the guitar player long enough that he knows when he's like looks at him, they're gonna do some 16th notes. Or they just feel it. These guys have been playing, it's like any band, they're so tight that they just can kind of like almost read each other's minds as far as when they're gonna do like another like quick subdivision in there. This ain't Mozart, this is not Bach, this is not the classical guitar stuff your daughter's doing, because all that is specific and written out. This is like what happened that day. And I bet if we go see Weezer and when they come do the old person's tour, when they're like playing with, I don't know who they play with, you know, they might play with like Smashing Pumpkins or something, or maybe it was another nerd rock band from that era. It escapes me right now. But when they do the big tour anyway, you know, this section is like where they'll jam at, and like that might happen at like random spots. So as far as like trying to make it exactly right through recording, remember that they don't even do that themselves. Like this stuff is like written out and there are certain changes to it, but these fills that they do, those are sometimes left up to the moment. So don't be too hard on yourself. Like I got to do this one the fourth time and second time. That's just what happened that day on the album. I do have some people who are like, well, want to play these songs, warts and all, mistakes. There's mistakes that happen on these things. They hit an errant string. They left a recording because it was a great take. So just remember that. So as far as this one, 1 and up. So I'll go slow. 1 and a 2 and a 1 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and last time 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and 4 and so with that right there, I've marked out which time through they do the 16th note. What I would do as far as practice is like just do like each think there's they do the whole thing 4 times, and I would go, okay, first time I was going to do the first time through. 4 and 1. Great, I got the first time through. Now I'm going to do the second time through. It's all just straight 8 notes. Great, now I'm going to do, the second time through is that on the E flat. Third time through I do what I just did before, and then on the fourth time through I might just do and just practicing like, okay, on this time through, the second time through, I'm just going to do that, just that part. And then I'm going to do the 16th note subdivision there. So practice your 16th note subdivisions, all downstrokes, and that'll lead us into the faster stuff, where it's not just the picking hand moving fast, but the chords are starting to move fast. Like think like a Song 2 by Blur would be a great one. And think about. Anyway, so work on those things for me. Like I said, if you have questions, fire them over to me. If not, I will catch you next week. Take care.